Before, when we were taking a look at verbs, we realized that there were different aspects of them. The first aspect is number, then person, tense, mood, and then voice. And just to review, number again is singular and plural. Person is first, second, or third. Tense is when the verb is taking place. Mood is going to be how it's expressed. And the voice is going to be active or passive. Today we're going to take a look at the mood of a verb. And that's going to be how it's expressed. There are a couple different moods of a Latin verb. The first is the most common, which is the indicative. And the indicative mood expresses a statement or a question, a fact. The imperative mood is going to be used to make a direct command. The subjunctive mood has a lot of different things that it can be used for. Some of those things can be wishes, please, something that may happen, something that's doubtful, or something that's contingent upon the rest of the sentence. And finally, the infinitive. Some consider this a mood, others do not. But because some consider it a mood, we'll add it on today. And this is the form of the verb that translates as to verb. Today, let's take a look at some examples of sentences first, and then we'll move on to the imperative mood. The indicative mood, an example. The boy loves his mother. That's the action making a statement. Imperative. Boy, love your mother. A command. Subjunctive. A wish here. Let the boy love his mother. And finally, the infinitive. The boy ought to love his mother. And in all four sentences here, we use the verb love in a different mood. But now let's take a look specifically at the imperative mood. The imperative mood is a command directed towards you, whether you is singular or plural. And it's created by dropping the RE off of the infinitive. So if we are given the infinitives amare, sedere, querere, and audire, we would drop the RE off of each of them. And what we're left with is our singular imperative. So ama, love, sede, sit, curre, run, audi, listen. And to make this form plural, all we're going to do is add the letter TE to now make it a hey you all command. But notice that the third conjugation here was left blank. This one just works slightly different, and instead of bringing the E over, we now use the connecting vowel I for the plural. So it should be ite instead of ate. Try it yourself. Take a look at these four infinitives. There's one from each conjugation. Pause the video and try to see if you can come up with the singular and the plural forms of the imperative. Okay, great. Let's take a look. Grade yourself to see what you've come up with. Once you take the infinitive, you should drop the RE off, and you're now given the singular command. For the plural command, you're going to add the TE to what you had for the singular, except for that third conjugation verb where you want to change that E to the letter I. Now, if we want to tell somebody not to do something, we're going to form the verb slightly differently. The negative imperative, which means don't do something, is going to use the words noli and nolite plus the infinitive to express this idea. Literally, this translates as do not wish to do something, but in English we simplified it to mean don't do something. And if you notice again, we're just adding the TE to make it plural. So here are two examples, noli ambulare and nolite ambulare. Take a look and see, how would you translate these two forms of the imperative? If you came up with don't walk for both of them, then you are correct. Whether it's singular or plural, it has the same translation. Now let's try the opposite. Don't climb. How would you express this in a singular and a plural imperative? Okay, if you came up with noli ascendere and nolite ascendere, you are correct. Now, the imperative mood doesn't need a subject because it's directed towards a you or a you all. However, if we want to specify who that person is, we're going to use what's called the vocative case. And this is a new case, even though it has a very similar form to what we already know. The vocative case is going to be used to directly address someone or something, and it's often separated from the rest of the sentence by a comma. The most famous use of the vocative is et tu, Brute, and you, Brutus. And brute here, Brutus, is in the vocative because we're calling upon him. To make the vocative, it's going to normally be the same as the nominative case. So puella, ambula ad me. Girl, walk to me. Puella is the same form as the nominative. There is only one slight exception. If your noun ends with the following, either us or ius in the nominative, they're going to change. The us ending nouns will end up having an e as their ending, like we saw with brute. If it's an ius ending noun, we're just going to leave it as I and chop off the us. So Marcus would change to Marque. Antonius would change to Antoni. And these are the only exceptions. So in the end, the imperative is the command form of the verb. It's made by dropping the re from the verb, mainly the infinitive form. Made plural by ending the letters te, except for that third conjugation where we change the e to the I. And the negative command will use noli and nolite plus the infinitive. So as an example to show you, drop the re, we're left with the singular imperative. Add te, we now have a plural imperative. If we get rid of both, noli monere, that is our negative command, don't warn. And also we introduce the vocative case, which is the new case of a word. And it's used to directly address someone or something. And it's often the same form as the nominative, except if your nominative form ends with us or ius. There we'll change it to e and I respectively.